Welcome to the podcast. Here we are.
Hi.
I am online. This is the first time I've recorded from my house. So with that, thank you, Jen. And Jen, do I say your name Evans? How?
Jen Even.
Even. So it is even.
Odd, even. Yes.
I've been saying Evans, like Bob
you
Evans.
And a lot of other people. Yep.
I'm like.
Yep. Even Steven, I get once in a while.
Okay, I can do that because, all right, even. No more Bob Evans for you. Sorry.
No. Jen Even.
Okay, so
it's the Jen and Jen show. Here we go.
It is the Jen and Jen show. So buckle up, baby. So, and it's Coach Jen. So that's going to be fun. I see future.
Sometimes I like to go by Coach E. Coachy. It's kind of funny.
Coachy.
A little catchy.
I feel like I'm being told I'm going to be Coach Hell. Because I keep getting,
if that's what you want.
No, because I keep getting called Satan. So I'm like, shit.
No.
Yeah.
Coach Jen and Coach Jen.
So there'll be maybe some future podcasts about that. We'll do the Coach Coffee or something show. I don't know. All right. But we're going to talk about you today. So we got to get to know you. I'm going to flip some screens here on me. But first off, Coach Jen, Coach E, even better coaching is what you're called.
I want to know how coaching.
Yeah. I want to know how you got started running. Like, when did that journey begin?
Oof. I actually started running way back in the day. I remember in middle school, we didn't have a middle school, it was K-8. And there was one girl in our class who was riding the bus, the high school bus from the elementary school to the high school. And it was super scary. And I was like, I don't want to run because I don't want to run on the high school bus. So I started running my freshman year of high school in cross country. And I went out for cross country with one of my good friends. And she was the type of person who we would run and then we would walk and we would complain. And oh my gosh, I can't believe teenagers, right? Teenage girls were like, I can't believe we have to run. And the coach would yell at us and be like, come on, girls, let's go. He'd be very enthusiastically yelling at us, right? It was never like, oh, here we go again. And our coach, he always set goals. It was great. He'd have a sheet for every meet that we had, and it would be like a mile 1 goal, a mile 2 goal. It was a 2.5 mile run back in the day. And he would set goals for us and somehow made it through freshman year, walking and not giving a crap. My sophomore year, a different one of my friends came out, and one of my best friends. And oh my gosh, we ran. And sophomore and junior year, we just had a fantastic time in cross country, and we would run together and we would pass people and we would compete against each other, and the goals meant something. And that was kind of where my story started. Coach Jeff Knapp back in Westfield High School in Wisconsin. So he was really a game changer for me because he didn't put me down. He set goals, and that's kind of where my career started. So started running high school cross country and track. I ran college cross country for 2 years and ran all 4 years for track. And guess what? When you graduate from college, there are no 100-meter hurdles or 100-meter dashes. So I couldn't run the 400 hurdles anymore. So I had to switch over to 5Ks. So it was 5Ks for a while. And then, you slowly grow into the halves. I'd done a bunch of halves, and I've done 2 marathons. And then, I'm going to probably answer your next question here. That's how I kind of got into ultras. I was in the running group, and people started moving over to trails. And, it was like, I'm doing these 5Ks and halves, and these people are starting to do 100-milers. I'd never heard of this before. And it's like, do you think I could do a 100-miler? And they were like, if I could do a 100-miler, you could do a 100-miler. So Mines of Spain 100-mile popped up that first year, Thanksgiving of 2017. And I was like, I think I'm going to sign up for this. So I waited until back in the day, the early registration went January and February. So I waited till like mid-February to finally sign up. And the rest is history. Here we are. Talking about 100-milers.
Mines of Spain 2017. That was when you were...
Well, it was 2018 was the first year. 2017 Thanksgiving it came out, right? Because then 2018 New Year's Day it opened.
Okay. All right. I had a question. So you said your coach, I kind of caught on, your coach you said a comment. He did not put me down and he set me goals. So...
Isn't that crazy?
So yeah, that was something I just got into Coach Lasso. It's on Apple TV. And he's like, it's not about always a skill. It's about coaching the personality, like bringing them up. So is that kind of what you're saying? Is it was not so much it was about like the inner part, like the brain part, you know what I mean? Like you're saying he didn't put you down. Like he got in your head and let you know you could do it is what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing way to put it. I love Ted Lasso. Oh, such a fun show. If you haven't seen it, go find it
Yeah.
because I know everybody keeps talking about it, but seriously, it's that worth it. You are coaching the athlete.
Mhm.
And he knew we were teenage girls, and I know he had girls of his own too. And I can't imagine. I'm so thankful I have two boys. I can't imagine teenage girls. And can you imagine if he was like, okay, here we go again, a couple of girls who don't really care about it. Why are they even here? They don't want to be here. And it just left me to the wolves. It was like, that's the reason why I'm still running today, is because he still invested his time and effort and energy into us. We showed up. I mean, we showed up to practice. It's just as a teenager, you're not all the way there. And that really set some foundations for me for running. That it really, I didn't know it was back then, but obviously it was a mental game.
Yeah.
Somebody believed in me. Somebody invested in me. Somebody wanted to see me do the best that I could do. And when I did the best that I could do, they upped it another step. Can we do more? Where are your limits? How can we do this? Like, what do you need from me? And what can you give?
I love it. It's just like, that's something I took a course with Training Peaks, and it was just it was a psychology course about getting in the athlete's head. And then, watching Ted Lasso, and and then hearing you just say that your coach did that to you and laid that foundation. I'm just like, I just love it. I get all geeky over it. I'm like, just how can we get in people's heads and just do that? I love it. All right. So
ultra is such a team sport. It's any kind of running is a team sport. I mean, you go out there, you are in charge of you. At the end of the day, you're in charge of you. But when you become part of this community, then all of a sudden it is bigger than you. Like, I was just talking to one of my friends the other day that I started running with, and we're like, oh, I'm so glad that you're here today. I wouldn't be doing this run if it wasn't for you. And I said, absolutely, I wouldn't be doing this run right now if it wasn't for you. But I also know that there's sometimes I have to do these runs solo, because when I show up to run with you, I want to be ready to go. So it is a team sport where, like, I'm a better runner because of you, because of everybody in our community.
That's what I think is the biggest difference when people ask between trail and road. I felt like the years I did road running, I was all by myself out there, and no one gave a shit about you when you came through an aid station. Here's your cup of water or whatever, get out, bye. Like, they don't, nothing, it's just so
when you
emotional.
talk about racing, yes.
Yeah.
There was a Dubuque running club that used to be a little bit more popular that, oh my gosh, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't know what I know. We'd go for a run, and then it was like, oh, we're hanging out later. And there was a big community. Or, hey, there's a race coming up. We're either all going, or, hey, there's a race coming up that I'm directing. Can you volunteer to help? So it was like you got plugged in all the time because somebody was always doing something.
Yeah, I love the ultra community. They're freaking amazing. All right. So can you tell me, you have anything that's your most memorable race or running achievement, like this stands out in your running career, your past, all your years of running? You got time.
In all my years of running?
Yeah. What's the one thing that just like,
oh my gosh, in all of the years, I'll go all the way back to high school again. My senior year of high school cross country, there were two girls that were just phenomenal. They were both battling to go to state. I was the third runner on the team. I probably wasn't going to state, but like, I was having a really successful year training with them, right? Like, coach would kind of set me up with them, and I'm like, I don't know if I could keep up with them. And it was like, again, he believed that, like, this is how I was going to get better and help them to be better. And we worked together as a team. Cross country takes 5 people. So the 3 of us were working together that year, and it was conference cross country. I can't even tell you how the race went down, right? But it was the finish line. It was a 100-meter dash to the finish line. I ended up passing a girl, and because of it, I don't know if we ended up 4th place overall instead of 5th place overall or what. It was pretty insignificant, but in the grand scheme of like overall results, but like in the grand scheme of our team, we moved up a place by 1 point because I passed this girl right at the end. I made second team all conference, which was a big deal because I had never done that in my cross country career. And like, it was just a big celebration of like the achievements that I had happened coming from walking and rolling my eyes and why are we doing this to like second team all conference, helped the team out as like a bigger team. Again, really setting the stage for like, I didn't know I could do that. Like, I didn't know this was possible. So super, super cool. One of the biggest accomplishments in my career was started in high school. Yeah, I can talk a lot about some of the other 5Ks or 100 milers that I've done, but that story, I mean, you got to figure I'm not young anymore. And that story still sticks with me from high school. So
what about your first 100 miler? You want to tell me how that felt?
That would, okay. I almost went with that story, but I kind of thinking about high school really went with that one.
Well,
that
we're going to start talking about mines. Cause I mean, this is a lot. We know a lot of people are going to tune in for some mines cause you're the mines person. So
absolutely. Mine's 100 year one. Anytime it's a year one, it's no expectations. The goal is to finish. Let's just see what's going to happen. I had no idea. I remember coming around and someone was like, you're in the lead. And I'm like, whatever. Somebody had also told me before, though, they're like, typically the person who's leading that early in the race probably doesn't win. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't be in the lead. Like, I'm just running a race. I'm not even doing anything special. And year one, again, no expectations. I had great pacers. I just had good people rallying around me and had a great day. Just had a great day. Had one of those days where everything fell into place. The plan was executed. Came across the line, the winner.
Wow.
I had no idea. And I carried that belt around with me for like a month. I took it everywhere.
As you should.
It was at school. It was at school pickup. It was at the coffee shop. I was like showing it off. It was awesome. Well, it was year one. It was exciting. And it was, the hometown girl and the hometown crowd. And it was great.
So just to clarify for listeners. So you were there at Mines of Spain's first 100 miler they did, right? So
yes.
their inaugural year, their very first opening. And that was your also first 100 mile, right?
Correct.
So you got a special bond. Like their first, your first. Y'all broke cherries together.
Virgins together.
Oh,
yep.
Okay. And have you run every single one of theirs?
So I've run every single year since. So there is a group of us that had been streaking. This coming up 2024 is year 7. So there are now 4 of us that have finished 6 of the 100 milers. There is a 500 club. So 2 other people joined that club last year. So they were on year 6, but then also joined our 500 club. There's 7 of us total in the 500 club. So we did lose one of our streakers last year. Not that they can't get to the 1,000 miles when we get there, but we've lost one. One got set back a year. So there's 4 of us that are streaking. 4 ladies.
You want to name who's streaking with you?
Yeah, so it's me and then Tara. How do you say Tara's last name? Tara F.
Sure.
Kathy Eartham.
Okay.
And Andy Bennett.
Okay. Wow. Pretty awesome.
I don't want to butcher anybody's names. I'm so sorry, Tara. You know I love you. She's going to hear this and be like, Jen, what the heck?
I see it and I see Fletch. I don't know.
Fletch? That's what I was going to go with, but I didn't want to, like you. You're like, how do you say your last name? How long have we been hanging out too? You're in the same boat as me. You get it. You get where I'm coming from.
Because I see Bob Evans. I just like, well, and I love sausage. I don't know. I don't know.
They have good donut holes too.
Do they? Oh,
yes.
Okay. All right. Let me just pull up some notes here. So
Should we talk about mines some more? I can give you mines basics.
Well, I want to know what you love.
Streaking.
I want to know what you love most about Mines of Spain.
I love that it's my home course. I love that it's right there. I love that I know where I am and I know what I'm doing, which is so funny because I also love a good course where like you go in and you have no idea what's going on. So there's a good balance between the two where it's like I can go do a run where like I have no idea what's going on, but I really do love the mines because I can autopilot. I know where the aid stations are. I know what to expect. I know where the rocks and roots are. I know where that hill is. I know where to walk. I know where to run.
It's like muscle memory now for you.
Oh yeah. It's just, you just go, well, that's funny. It's muscle memory. And yet the park changes all the time. Whether there's a storm, whether there's, they put the new stairs in on Rip Row. there's always something that's kind of changing. The river's high, the river's low.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
lots of...
Yeah. So I got a question though. Have you ever done another 100-mile or not in mines?
I did do kettle 100.
Okay. All right.
So I've done 6 mines and 1 kettle. So I've done 7 total in my
Did you
career.
like being somewhere else, or were you like, no, I just want to be at mines?
It's not about not wanting to go somewhere else. It really is about the convenience for me.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
It's in my backyard. It's easy to practice. I, like everybody else, have this like fear of like, well, if I go travel, then I won't have any pacers, or it'll be hard to get people to come with me. And you can contest to this too. If you say, hey, I'm going to go do this race, do you want to come with me? You always find somebody who's going to go with you. You think you're not, but somebody will go with you. But that's my own battle to get over another day.
It's hard. Like very hard. Like I'm what? I've got a race May of 2025 and I'm planning now because that's my fear. And it's like big pacey miles. I'm like, who the is going to do that? Like,
yeah,
it's a big commitment to ask. Yeah, I get it. But if it was here, it'd be a little bit easier to ask, you know?
And that's, I think, where I'm at. Where it's easier to ask that. It's easier for my kids' schedule. I'm usually the primary caregiver for them. My ex is great. No, he will bring them to the start line. He will bring them after school, and he will bring them to the finish line. He has been at every single race with them. I love that for my kids. I'm so appreciative about that. And at the same time, like I said, it's just easier for the whole group of us, because it's like, well, then if you're traveling, he's got to find childcare, and it becomes a whole thing. And I love that my kids are at the finish line. I have pictures of my kids at every finish line.
I wish mine would be. And they're grown ass adults and they can't get there. Never mind. That's a whole nother topic. So I got to say, my thoughts are this, and I'm sure a lot will agree. That takes a lot of mental toughness, I feel, to do the same course over and over again. I personally, like when I went and did dyno second time, I'm like, I'm never fucking doing this again because I don't know what it is, but in my mind, when things are kind of going wrong and I'm not going to get my goal time, my mindset went to this. What am I doing this for? I already know I can finish. I already got the buckle. Like I know I can. I've accomplished it. Why would I want to put my body through this to do something I've already done again? So that takes that mental grit and toughness to be like, yeah, but I'm gonna, you know what I mean? And to keep going. Mm-hmm. That's a lot to do and then to be out there and be like, yeah, no, we're not a quitter. That's why we keep going. That's a lot. That is a lot of mental toughness to do a same course. And I know there's a lot in our Yeti group. That's what they do. But again, we're all so unique and different in what we prefer and how we do things. And that's what I love about this podcast, is getting to know everyone and how they like to do things. And I learn so much from each and everyone who's on this show. So, wow. And
I think that is something that I enjoy. I would rather do, I'm a big fan of one of our other local races, Shoots in 9, where it is a 0.85 mile loop and you go round and round and round. And I enjoy being able to see people, and I know where my aid is, and I know people will cheer me on, and the Yetis are always right at the top of that hill, and they always cheer me on. I love that group. And the mines is very much the same way. Each aid station is people that I know, and they're my friends. And
you look forward to it, I bet.
When you've done,
You look forward to seeing them, I'm sure.
I look forward to seeing them every loop. Mm-hmm. So it's really, instead of picturing it as like this monotonous, like I've done this loop, I've been here before, I'm doing this, it's like, I just need to get to my friends so that my friends can cheer me on, so we can have a little conversation and we can high five each other and I can eat some food with them. And then I'm going to go find the next group of friends. So I prefer the looped course. I prefer knowing people, and there's still, like I said, I've done plenty of other races. I'll walk to you know, and you know this too. You can walk to any aid station, not know a single person, make a best friend in 2 minutes.
Yeah, like
somebody who will take care of you and like cheer you on, and that's the vibe you're going to get at Mines of Spain too. Mm-hmm. Like, as much as I say, oh, they're my friends and I know them, we're all trail runners. There's a lot of the people that are working the aid stations have either volunteered before or have done plenty of ultras themselves. So they know what's going on. And the new people are just wrapped up in it too. And they just absolutely, they vibe right in, right? It's all good vibes. Mm-hmm. And That's where you're going to get at every single aid station is 100% service, quote unquote service, that like whatever you need service, right? If you need food, if you need a hug, if you need a chair, don't sit in the chair. But they'll get you what you need, and then they'll get you out of the chair too, and they'll keep you moving.
I love it. That's really good information for those also who are thinking about Minds of Spain or whatever 100, because that's something like some people can't wrap their head around loops. They're like, how do you do the same loop? I like actually loop courses. I do.
Yeah. And we hadn't discussed either. So Minds of Spain 100 is a 5 20-mile loops. So you go back up to the start finish line every 20 miles. There's 3 aid stations on course. One of them you hit twice. So there's 5 aid stations total.
All right, let's
and
just
they're
start
about
from
every 5 miles.
Let's start from the beginning of Minds of Spain. So if we're going to go into Minds, let's just start from the beginning.
Sure.
Minds of Spain, it's located in Dubuque,
Iowa, right on the Mississippi.
It's gorgeous.
Bluffy. It is not flat, my friends.
Not at all.
Not flat.
No. What would you say that course has got a mix of everything? You've got the grass, some meadows, single track, little gravel,
single track,
little gravel,
little technical, little easy, a little road, like you can say a little stairs, but if you ask anybody, they're like, there's a lot of stairs.
I don't feel like the stair. I did one loop. I had on my GPX. I went out there a couple years ago. I mean, there is a lot of stairs, but I don't know.
There's a little here and a little there and a little there. You know what I mean? So sometimes when you're like, it's another hill and another set of stairs, those are the parts where like you're power hiking, right? So you slow down a little. So it feels like it's the biggest part of the course. There can be a few creek crossings, and I'm not talking about fall flooding. I'm talking about there is a creek crossing further out. And if the water is a little bit high, you might get your feet wet, but usually there's some rocks to jump over. Okay. There's at least one. Sometimes there's a few more out to the second aid station.
So you can arrive, because I did crew there last year.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, it was last year. I have a picture with you at the start. I was actually going to look for that and post that for.
That'd be perfect.
I don't have a picture with you. You can set up your like a tent or canopy there, right? And it's kind of like a first come first serve.
Finish is called Crewville. The town of Crewville.
Yes.
The night before is packet pickup, and so you can get all your stuff there. But you cannot set up your tent or any of Crewville stuff until the day of.
And there's a specific time that it does not open until. So there was a lot of cars in the lineup. And that was insane to me, the lineup of cars.
Yeah, people are funny like that.
And it was fine. There was no need to be like that, I felt like, because it was fine. There was plenty of room to get a place. But I'm sure certain people are really picky about where exactly they want to be, you know. But for us, we were fine. We got a spot, you know.
To be fair, when you're coming into the park and you go down the first driveway, then you have to take a right to go up to the start finish line, and Crewville would continue straight. So obviously the closer spots are better if as a runner you're using your Crewville spot to get your aid. If you're just using your Crewville spot for your crew to like sleep and set up shop, and they're waiting 20 miles for you to get there, because crew only has access, if you're talking about the 20-mile loop, they have access at mile 15 and then at the start finish line. So they're not going to see you for a few hours. So it's nice to have a spot for your crew. You set up shop, you put your table out, your chairs, and they can rest and relax there, take a nap there. People have like camping tents too that they like, you know, sleep out there too. But as far as a runner, I would totally recommend just using the start finish line. Put your bin over there. Or if you have crew, have them bring your chair and your bin over, set it up, do your thing, then have them remove it and put it back in your Crewville while you're out on your 20-mile loop.
I totally agree with you there. I think it's better. We did not do that, but we were pretty close. But I think it would have been faster just to go to the start finish, do the NASCAR pit stop, zip, 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 and then slap them on the ass and send them back out. Like, to me, that's just, yeah. I mean, because the people spend too much time, I feel like, and I'm guilty, but sometimes, they had everything you could need right there. Plus, you know, and then if you just, you know, cart their supplies over, you're good to go. So that had to been my favorite race I've ever been to as a crew. I have to say. So I can say on a crew side, she bought us
super convenient. Yeah. Everything is ready to go.
Oh my gosh.
And it's all right there. And then like talk about aid station too. Like what did your pacer buy you or your runner buy you?
She bought us the wristbands for food. And that is probably where I hate crewing the most is I don't get to eat, and you're usually stuck in a park far away. You don't want to drive how many miles into town. You do not eat well when you're at races. You never sleep, which is fine. And you don't get to eat, and it's just such a pain in the butt to go get something to eat. I've never eaten so well.
What did you eat at Mines of Spain 100?
Oh my gosh, what did I eat?
As a crew member, what did you eat as a crew member?
I know, like there was like I love the pasta salad. It sounds so weird. And there was like these really good deli sandwiches. They're not just like sandwiches. They were really good deli sandwich. And oh my God, the pizza. What was that? There was like this Firestone, like I don't know. There's some kind of pizza. There was, I can't remember.
Pulled pork. We've had pulled pork before.
There was
mashed potatoes. They get like stuff catered in.
It was all, and it would change every so many hours.
Every so many hours. I know this has happened. I've always missed out on it. Somebody always brings Taco Bell in the middle of the night. And so then there's always like, 30 tacos floating around until they're gone. In the first thing in the morning, there's always donuts floating around until they're gone kind of thing. And that food just keeps kind of coming in. So as a runner or as a crew, you can come in and grab something. There's always food. And I'm saying that, there's these things until they're gone, but it's like once those things are gone, there's another thing, right?
Yeah,
there's still your base layer of food.
It wasn't the same food the entire time. It would change. And there was a coffee truck, like a coffee truck. So you could buy different kinds of coffee.
That was new last year, which is exciting.
Oh my gosh.
That was great for crew.
So her crew, we were like, this has to be the best crew spot, hands down, I've ever been at a race. Hands down, that wins.
Plus, you can get a Crewville t-shirt. You can get one that says Crewville.
Damn. I need one.
It could be official Crewville.
It surely makes it enticing if somebody said, will you crew me at Mines? I'd be like, well, yeah. I'm going to require a wristband. I mean, I buy my own. I'm
going to require a wristband to enter this ride.
It was just, I loved it.
Crewville is the place to be. I mean, here's the thing of it, though. Crew hangs out at Crewville. As a runner, I get to experience that at every single aid station. As much as there was a party up at the start-finish line, there was a party at every single aid station.
Oh, that's great.
You got aid station 1 is going to be the Turd group, the Quad City Trail and Ultra Runners. They put the D in ultra running. Get it?
Oh, yeah.
So it's the Quad City group takes over aid station 1.
Okay.
And I mean, that has notoriously been a party. The best thing that you can find, and I hope there's some leftover for me, but Laura Elliott makes these pumpkin cookies that are fantastic, and they've been there every year, and I do pray that she's bringing them back again. They are great. And that's the thing about these aid stations too, right? The volunteers that are at the aid stations are bringing food to the aid station.
Wow.
They bring their food. So, and again, that's one of those, like, she shows up, she brings those. Somebody else shows up, they bring a little pot of something. And it's like, there's always something new. You never know. And then there's always the aid station basics, right? We got bananas and grapes and oranges and cookies and chips and M&Ms and broths. And they start bringing out the heartier stuff. There's usually pizza rolls and some pancakes first thing in the morning. There's usually some kind of like sandwiches, whether it's a burger or like pulled pork, or you never know. You never know what you're going to find unless you ask, right? So that's aid station 1. Aid station 2, again, we're talking the same thing. I've had like turkey and cheese melt. Like they made like a grilled cheese, turkey, cheese, bacon sandwich. At aid station 2. Aid station 2 is the Dubuque aid station. So it's changed over the years. I think right now you've got Kurt and RJ out there. They are guys that are part of our Tri Club here in Dubuque, and they just do a phenomenal job recruiting people, high energy, get you in, get you out. They're kicking you out too. And I've seen a lot of local runners that have run the race, that if they're not running that year, they volunteered at that aid station too, which is super nice to see. Some of the other runners, they don't necessarily run it every year, but when they, either you see them on the trail, which is great, or you see them at the aid station, which is great. Aid Station 3 is going to be your Seggy Boys, which is another group of Quad City guys that are just hilarious. If you've been to any other Sun Trail running event, you've seen them at other races. It's just a party. They've got lights, they've got cutouts, they've got a movie going in the middle of the night, they've got a disco ball, they've got, anything that you want, anything that you could imagine. Don't sit in the chair and start watching the movie. You got to keep going. Got to keep going. The movie will still be playing when you come back, I promise.
That's awesome.
You got to keep going. So, but again, that's a nice one too. Crew can be at that Aid Station 3. So if you are bored in the middle of the night and you're like, I'm going to head to Aid Station 3, which is EB Lions,
right, you
can head out there and watch some movie for a little bit while you're waiting for your runner to come in.
That's awesome. Yeah. One of our crew, things. One of the crew would go to EB Lions and then we would just stay back, but because we're not all going to go, but
you didn't know what you were missing.
I did not. He didn't tell us there was a movie. So if you're listening, Alan, you didn't tell me there was movies. Damn it. Oh man.
That's a party out there. They're all parties. And it's fun to finally, when you're in the middle of the woods and it's dark and you're moving along and all of a sudden you're like, I hear something. I see lights. Something's happening up there, and you start to build that energy, and you're like, yeah, it's a party, and you eat all the food, and then you hustle out, and you've got that momentum to kind of carry you to the next aid station. So, wakes you up in the middle of the night.
That's awesome because really, I feel like when I'm in 100, I'm like, it's aid station. Sometimes it
is. That's just the only thing you can do, and when you hit that aid station, you're like, yay, I'm
revived. I'm better.
They're so excited to see you, and you're excited to see them.
So if somebody's going to do 100 at Mines Spain, what could they would need a vest, right? I mean, because how much time is it? I mean, how many miles is it between aid stations? Did you say that?
No, we didn't really get into exact specifics. The first aid station is like 4.5. Then to get to the second aid station, that's the longest. It's just a little over 6. Then you hit that first aid station again. So it's only about 2 or 2.5 to that one. And then another 3 to get to the last one. And then it's about 5 from aid station 3 to the finish line. So the longest stretch you're doing is that 6-mile stretch, which is my love-hate section of the course because it's a small out and back. And the whole thing is a loop. You hardly double over anything, which is so much fun that you're always seeing something new. And that's that one section where it's out and back. So you do get to see people and cheer other people on, which makes it a little easier. But I would say that's one of the more hillier sections. And it just feels like, for me, knowing the whole course, for me, it feels like it goes on forever. It's a love-hate. I prefer to carry a pack because, especially for that section, I just know myself, I get into a spot out there and I hit a low and it's like, you know what do I have? I have a gel. I have some pocket grapes. I have something that I need to eat. And once I eat, I feel a little bit better. I also like to carry a pack because I just feel like you have more water on you and it means less time at an aid station. Even though we have the best volunteers in the entire world and they're willing to take your bottle while you're grabbing something to eat, it's just one less thing to think about and do in the middle of the race. So that way I only have to fill up maybe once while I'm out there. And then once when I get back to the start finish, my crew can kind of do that for me.
Sure. I mean, that's
so I carry a pack. I have a pack.
I would carry a pack. I mean, 20 miles till you go into aids to you go to your crew. That's a long time. And what if you need something?
Oh, what if you need something? There's aid stations. You're not going more than 6 miles without an aid station. I would still carry food with me. If you wanted to do a handheld, you totally could. Yeah. You could totally get away with it.
You could get away with it. I think
that would.
But if you have your own personalized, your stuff, if you're picky and you know what I mean, then I don't know. And I'm with you. I need a lot of water. I mean, because what if I want to drink a lot,
so
especially in that long section.
So daytime highs. Oh, it's always tend to be in the 70s.
Oh, nice.
That's your highs. I remember hitting 80 once. There was a warmer year. I think last year we were in the 60s or high 50s was our high, but it stayed really consistent last year, which was nice. It was like we were in the 50s as the high and we were in the 50s as the low. It was like the most dream ultra we've had. Highs have gotten warm. I still usually end up wearing capris. I personally, I always run cold anyway. So I've always worn capris. Plenty of people wear shorts though. Lows though have gone anywhere between, like I said, low 40s to it snowed one year. Whoa. It's been frosty first thing in the morning. It gets chilly in the overnight. Mm-hmm. So like there was one year too, like I said, I had my tights on and I was like, I just have to get back to the start and finish line. And I was like, I want my other pair of pants. And I put 2 pairs of pants on and I did not care. I was cold and I wanted to be warm. I put that second pair of pants on. And by the time the sun was starting to come up, I'm like ripping clothes off. Like I'm too hot. It's like stuffing them into my pack, which again, this is why I bring my pack. Put my stuff in there.
That's why I like. We've had a couple extra clothes in the pack are nice.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could tie it around your waist, but it's something about putting it in the pack just makes it like hands free.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you have neck problems, don't use a pack. Go handheld. You know, people get kind of, I'm one like, 70 miles in, you're like, oh, I'm like a hunchback. Dump the pack.
Every single race I've ever had, my shoulders do hurt afterwards. I mean, you can practice with your pack and load it down, but that's just part of ultras. Mm-hmm. I personally think. I don't know if there's any workaround. Make your pack lighter. I don't know.
Strength training.
Don't wear a pack a couple of loose. But yeah, okay. You can see my arms. I'm tiny, you guys. I'm so small and it's fine. My upper body is not my strong suit. That's fine.
Story of a lot of runners. We're just like,
that's true.
What is strength training? We just want to run.
Oh, I just want to run.
I just want to run. Oh,
trust me. If the worst thing about like during the race is that my shoulders hurt, I'm having a good day. I'm having a really good day, right? Like that's the worst thing right now.
Yeah.
I can handle that.
What else about Mines of Spain would you tell people to be prepared for?
Just kind of looking at a few things here. Talking about aid stations, you can put drop bags at all 4 aid stations. So again, if you want to go handheld, go for it.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, if you have special stuff.
I personally am not doing drop bags. Okay, so if you're talking stuff like food or like if you are particular about something, put a drop bag out there. Or like if you don't want to carry your clothes, you put pants on and you want to take them off, throw them back in your drop bag. Mm-hmm. That way you don't have to carry them on your back. But as far as Sun Trail Running goes, who is the race director of this race, they are fantastic when it comes to food. I have been to other races, I'm sure you have too, where it's like bare minimum food, or they purposely tell you bring your own food because they're going to have bare minimum aid stations. This is not one of those races. And I'm not saying bank on it. I'm not. But I'm saying you are going to be well fed at the aid stations. We were talking about Crewville and how there's always food there. Again, out on the course, you're going to have fantastic amounts of food. But if you are particular about what you want, you can put it in a drop bag. It's out there for you. We talked about crew access at Aid Station 3. We talked about Crewville. Pacers.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't touched about Pacers. So in the 100-miler, you can have a pacer after loop 3, so after 60 miles. And that's pretty standard for most races. I mean, usually it's maybe 50 or 60, but just how this works is mile 60. There's a note in there. If it's after a certain time,
7 p.m.
you can pick up a pacer at loop 2. Mm-hmm. I'd be concerned about, you'd have to really be cooking if you want to keep moving and you're going to need that pacer if you're going to miss that cutoff to be able to pick up a pacer for loop 3. So, but after loop 3, 60 miles in, you can pick up a pacer. You can only have one pacer at a time. You can have crew access at that aid station 3. So somebody could do 15 miles and then a 5 and then a 15 and a 5. I've traditionally just done 2 pacers where they'd each do a 20-mile loop with me. People have done 40. You could totally do that too. I personally like to use at least 2 pacers because it's nice to just have fresh blood.
New conversation.
You're out there for a long time. Yeah. I mean, it's dark.
After a while, you're like, what are we going to talk about now?
Yeah. You're like making up stories by that point. You're like, let me tell you about my high school cross country team. Like, I could tell you everything.
It gets rough.
If you're doing the 100K, you can pick up a pacer for your last loop. So 100K is 3 loops. You can have a pacer for that 3rd loop. So that's nice about the 100K.
That I almost did.
But once that 100, you will. You'll get there.
I deferred.
And it's It's nice too. But once that 100K, once those people start finishing, the trails do get quiet in the middle of the night. Everybody starts to spread out, everybody's thinned out, everybody's moving a little slower. Yeah, you're just like searching for headlights at that point. You're like, is that a person over there? Like, what's going on? Hi, like, hello. And everybody's zombie walking in the middle of the night. It's great.
Yeah.
It's my favorite time of 100-miler is like 3 a.m.
That's your favorite time?
It sucks so much that it's interesting.
Okay.
Right?
I was like, wait.
It's 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning is like before, when it's still dark. It's the coldest part of the night. It's the most exhausting part of the night. Like, this is where people really come out to play, right?
That's when I start seeing shit. That's when I start seeing shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start seeing the carnage really come out. And it's like, how tough are you?
No, that's when I start seeing stuff that's not really there.
Oh, that kind of shit. Oh my gosh. Well, that happens too. Mm-hmm. I personally have never, knock on wood, I've never hallucinated.
Oh, that's too bad. It's actually kind of funny.
I tend to like see things that are already there. Like if you see a piece of tree trunk and you're like, is that a deer? It's like, no, it's just a tree trunk. Okay, never mind. Like that's the most I've seen where it's like, is that an animal? Is that a bear? Is that a mountain lion?
I feel like that's what a lot of the hallucinations are. It's just a misinterpretation of something. Like looking and then people are like, what are you looking at? I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Let's just let it go. Like, you know? So yeah, you're just really tired.
True hallucinations are like things that are not there.
Well, yeah, like the yellow submarine.
My friend has seen like teddy bears on the trail, and it's like there's nothing there.
Yeah, I saw a black cougar. Yeah, it was not real.
But it wasn't even a log or leaves or anything. It was there, and then it was like not there. Like, okay, that's not good. Mm-hmm.
And that's when you want a pacer who's just really good at fucking with you and letting it go. Like, yeah. Yeah. So
talk you out of it.
Yeah, that's a good time of night. Like, I feel like that's something a lot of people who are doing their first 100 miles, they need to know. Because I've talked to a couple people and they're like, well, I've done 100K. So, I feel like it won't be that much different. And they're going to do 100. I'm like, okay, well, hold on. Because you're like, I feel like when you hit that 70, when you get past that 70 mile, like 70 miles is when things get shitty, like real shitty. That's when the race
starts.
Yeah. That's when, the challenge really begins and you're like, time to play troubleshooting. And and you're so freaking tired and your body temperature's weird and your stomach's gone and everything, and it's just mental now. And when you're like at 4 or 5 or 6, whatever morning, you're right. That's when you do see weird things with people. And it does remind me of zombies, like Walking Dead.
You're tired. Your eyes are open, but your brain is like shut off. And you can go, your brain can take you places, right? So that's where, when we talk about mental toughness, we're talking about 2, 3, 4 in the morning. How mentally tough are you? Because you're going to be exhausted. Like you said, your body temperature's out of whack. You're 70, 80 miles in. It's still going to be hours before you're done. And it's like, why are you here? Why are you here? Are you going to finish this race? You could easily be like, okay, check out. I'm done. I'm out of here. Why are you here? Are you going to finish? You said you were going to finish. You said you were going to do this. And one of the things I like to discuss before a race is not only why are you here, but what would take you out of this race? What are the things, if you say I'm going to do 100 miles, cool. There's a few things that would take you out. Let's say you broke your leg. If I broke my leg, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to have to tap out. I really am going to have to tap out. If I got news that one of my kids was like severely injured, I'm probably going to go be with them. But what would honestly tap you out? Is puking going to tap you out? No, you're already shaking your head. No. Is, you know what I mean? Is a blister going to take you out? Nope. Like, is not being able to eat your favorite food, or like, is being tired going to take you out? Like that. And if you start asking yourself all those questions, like what would take you out of this race? And you're like, no, I would totally do all those. Okay. Remember that at 4 a.m. when you're tired and you don't wanna. Okay. That's great. Here we go.
That's a
Anything
conversation.
else? Oh, your legs hurt? Great. What else?
Everybody
What
says. That's a conversation
Yeah.
is really, really important to have with your crew and pacers days before. Like when you have your crew meeting.
Especially an inexperienced pacer.
No.
Someone who hasn't ran with you as much. I mean, this is a race too. If you're local, everybody pitches in some capacity, whether you're running, whether you're volunteering, you're pacing, you're crewing, and a lot of people are involved. So a lot of times you sometimes have to go outside of your circle to find a pacer to help you because your best friend is also running the race and they're running their race. So they're not going to be able to help you at mile 70 when they're at mile 70. So then you get somebody that you don't run with all the time, which is great, but you need to have that conversation with them. How are you going to manage mile 70, mile 80 when it's still dark?
Yeah, like I might be crying and say I want to quit. Don't say, oh, okay, it's okay. You can quit. No, you bitch slap my ass and say, we're going to keep going. So.
It's, do you need to be babied or bullied? Question of the day. Do you want to be babied or bullied?
You got to bully my ass.
Yeah. And I'm both. Like you have to baby me. Like, oh, it's okay. I'm sorry you don't feel good. And it's like, yes, all of this sucks. And then it's like, okay, here we go. Like, we're going to do this now. And I'm like, wait, what happened?
I kind of like that.
I need to sit in my sadness for a minute. And then it's like, all right, let's put your big girl panties on and get a move on. Let's go.
I feel like that's how I am with people. Like, I know it hurts, but you're going to have to shut the fuck up and get out of here. Okay.
That's it. That's the one.
Because they're like, you're such a nice Satan. Like, you're really nice and you pep me up. But then you're like, all right, stop being a whiny bitch. Don't be a whiny bitch and go get done what you said you were going to get done. You're like, oh, sorry. And then afterwards I hear what I say and I'm like, but you kept going. I don't know. Like I just had my recent DNF and, I talked about it in the last podcast, but to me, I'm like, that wasn't my A race. That wasn't even a C race. That was a training run. So to me, I'm like, I'm going to injure myself so bad, which I did. I set myself back greatly, that it's going to take me out of my training for my A race. Yeah. I don't give a shit about this race. I don't give a shit about it. It sucks. I really wanted an epic DNF, but I'm like, it is what it is. Now, if that was my A race, like the one I spent so much money on and that calf started doing it, I'd be like, oh, fuck it. We're going. Like, we're going to keep going. We're going
to walk it in.
Yeah.
We're going to walk it. We're going to drag our leg behind us.
I will drag this leg. Yeah. I would have dragged it. I would have been like, tape it up to the other. I don't care. Like put it on a stick, whatever. Unless a bone's sticking out, we're not stopping because it's a race game.
I have done that dumb stuff in a race just to like get there. Like I've had blisters and been like, this is the worst thing ever. And it's like, well, do you want us to tape it up? And it's like, yeah. And we put like a bandage on it and put my sock back on. Totally worthless.
Yeah.
Does not help in the slightest, but it helps my mental game. And I'm like, oh, it's better now that it's taped. And you start walking and it's the same pain. And you're like, but it's better because it's taped. It'll be fine. Everything is fine.
I don't tell people about the blister, but I like hearing other people have the blisters. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, you got a blister? I got a blister, but I'm not saying it. And then but then when we take everything off, we're like, ugh, it's just like carnage. So I'm like, just fake it till you make it, lie. And I just like, how's your feet? They're good. And then you look and you're like, oh my gosh, it's just disgusting carnage. And I'm like, but
this is the fun stuff of the 100-miler. I mean, we can talk about like, it's a 20-mile loop and the aid stations are great and the pacers are great and the volunteers are phenomenal. And then it's like, yeah, do you remember like 3 a.m. when you were puking and like you sat in the chair and you didn't want to go on? And then I gave you a piece of pizza and you cried and then we moved on to the next, like, these are real stories that really happened. Yeah. My last pacer, Dan, he gave me a pancake and I took a bite of it and I spit it out on the ground. And he was like, you can't do that. You have to eat that. So I did. And we moved on.
My second 100 was at Hennepin and I was puking. I was puking for 50 miles. And so last half obviously was just make it happen. It was like, just try and get liquids in. I could get some broth in, but anything, and it was like, just hold. Cause I knew I had to, whatever. And Matthias got me some Jell-O because he was trying everywhere to get me Jell-O. He's like, let's just get her some Jell-O. So they found some Jell-O, and it was like the last aid station before finish. And I was like, oh, and I'm like, this tastes so good. And I'm like, you're like 2 years old now. And you're like, it's so good. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, stop eating it. Like that, you got to slow down. You can't eat too much of it. And so I'm like, okay, but I'm really hungry. And then all of a sudden, it has started happening. You could feel it. And I'm like, oh no, no. And I went to the side of the thing and it all went. He comes over and just totally guy pats me on the back, like real hard. Doosh, doosh, doosh. They're there. You're okay. I mean, like, he is such a guy, like, and way away from me. His hand's so far extended because I'm throwing up. And he doesn't want, like, they're there. And then I'm like, oh, and then I start to cry. He's like, no, we got to go. Dude, follow me. We got to go. And then he's like, I'm like, I don't wanna. And he's like, you haven't been passed and you're about to get passed. And I was like, those girls are coming. I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I took off. And I was like, God.
Oh, toddler status.
Total toddler.
I love a good toddler story.
Yeah, and then you throw a fit.
I don't wanna, crying, throwing fits. I don't wanna, the crying. I cry a lot during ultras. It wouldn't be an ultra if there wasn't tears. That's for sure.
I apologize for all the times I call my pacers dicks. Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah, I mumble under my breath more than anything. One of my pacers told me once too that I was like glaring at them. Like, absolutely. And then at the end of the day, I give them like the biggest hug. Yeah. Like, because you can't do it without them.
They're amazing.
There's no way. I mean, sure you can. Okay, let's be real. You could. But like, man, it would not be, you wouldn't have the stories. You wouldn't be near as successful without them.
Yeah.
It'd be a different game. That's all. You'd have to be somewhere different mentally to be able to do it solo. And that's fine. Some people do it solo, but I don't want to.
I don't either.
This is a team sport for me.
Yeah. All right.
So we went through all the garbage of like the 2, the 3 a.m., the 4 a.m., the puking, to solve some of those issues. Like you just said, Jell-O actually is a good way to calm your stomach a little bit. I'm sorry that didn't work for you, but Jell-O would be a good one. Broth, mashed potatoes, even sometimes gels if you can stomach one more gel, because those are all very easily digestible.
I had a bag of taters. We did all of that. It was just something happened.
I'm just saying in general for somebody listening, when you get to that point and you don't want to eat and you need to eat, try to find applesauce, something that's easily digestible.
Coca-Cola with salt in the Coke.
Interesting. I've never put salt in the Coke. Does it make it flat? Which would be nice.
Probably. And that would be a good, but then I was told you are going to get, the Coca-Cola is good for your stomach. You're going to get calories. You're going to get the salt. So you're going to get all of the things in there.
Sugar
all at once.
and salt.
Yeah. That's a big one. I guess somebody did at a 200 miler. They're like, it's got me through. That. I know. I haven't done it, but she swore by it. And I was like,
interesting.
Putting it on my list. Yeah.
Huh. And then you go from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. and you're already smiling. The sky starts to get just a little bit lighter and the birds start chirping, and all of a sudden you get to see this like glorious sunrise. And you want to talk again about toddler status. I was up on the observation deck in the mines, and you when you run the mines, you'll see it, the observation deck, and we're taking pictures of the sunrise, and I'm like crying like a little girl. Like, I was just so happy, like so filled with joy that like we had made it to the day. Everything was going to be easier from there on out. I was with my best friend. Like, I was just so happy to be where I was. Just an amazing feeling.
It is. You put a lot of hard work to get to those points, and it's a lot of emotions.
And that's why we puke all night, is to get to these points where it's like, because you can't have that pure joy without going through all the struggle. It doesn't exist.
No. And it's just an undescribable. I can't fully put that into words until somebody's experienced.
Yeah. I mean, that was just, I still had 9 miles to go. So as soon as we turned around and started moving, I was like, oh, we're going to be out here for another like 3 hours.
Yeah. But
then you hit the finish line too.
It's still, when you know you're heading to that finish, it's a good feeling. It's a great feeling.
Big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Then you get a big hug from the race director at the finish line. I forgot to mention, too, he is at check-in, too. He checks just about every runner in. He knows you by name. He knows what your story is. He'll give you a big hug at the end. He's super pumped. His goal is to see people finish. Mm-hmm. It's not to make it the toughest course you've ever run, and he wants to see how many DNFs and how far you can push yourself. He wants those things for you, too, but, like, when the goal is to finish the race. Everybody's going to finish the race.
And we're talking about Josh's son.
We are talking about Josh's son.
He is
love his
good.
Races. Love what he stands for. Mm-hmm. He truly is grassroots, and he gives a lot of money back to parks. Whatever park his race is at, he gives money back to the parks. So,
yeah, I really enjoy his races. So, pretty cool guy.
The one other thing I wanted to mention about Mines of Spain, this is a little off topic, but I think it's super important. Mines of Spain is a Trail Sisters approved race. And as a female, I just think that's super important. So I Googled it to make sure that I got all this information right. And if you're unfamiliar, Trail Sisters is a women's trail running community that aims to create equitable outdoor spaces. A race is considered Trail Sisters approved if it meets 5 criteria. Equal podium spots, which Josh has always done from the beginning. Mm-hmm. That means right now, a podium, I would say top 3 men, top 3 women for each race. Equal podium spots. Equal prize money and awards, same thing. Equal awards for men and women. Women-specific apparel and swag. So when you go to sign up for the race, you can get a women-specific T-shirt. You can get a unisex or a women's one. You can sign up for whichever one you want. Menstrual products at aid stations. Mm-hmm. Again, you wouldn't think that's one of those big deals, even as a female. Oh, you come in prepared. You know what you're doing. I have mid-race gone, uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To have those things available is a game changer. Mm-hmm. And it's one less thing to carry on you when you're sweaty. And, I know you can put it in a plastic bag or it's one less thing to carry. Mm-hmm. It's just so convenient. I'm very thankful. I don't use them too often, but when I need them, holy crap, it's so convenient. Thank you so much for doing that. It's very appreciated. Equal opportunity for women on the starting line. Me and Tara have always started right up front. I love doing it. I love being in the pictures. It doesn't mean that I'm going out to be the first person out, mile 1, I'm checking in first. It just means that we get to stand on the start line with the men. Like, we are just as good and just as capable of being up there.
Hell yes. I love that.
You can start wherever you want. If you want to start in the back because that's where you want to start, I don't care. That's fine. You want to start in the middle. But if you want to start in the front, come start up front with me. You're allowed. You're allowed to be there. Mm-hmm. And then one other thing that the Trail Sisters have added starting in 2024, they're asking that races also have a pregnancy and postpartum policy. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jesus. I am past that point, but as a mom, mm-hmm. I have, healthcare is ridiculous. And we have this conversation year after year after year. And there's always some breastfeeding story you hear about, or somebody getting kicked out of somewhere because they're feeding their child. And we don't need to get into the politics about it. That's fine. But if you are pregnant, or you become pregnant, or you just had a baby, and maybe postpartum is getting a little wilder than you thought. When I had my first baby, I moved my treadmill into the living room, and I was like, oh, I'm going to train for a marathon. I'm going to have this baby, and when the baby sleeps, I'm going to run on the treadmill. I'm going to be in the most top shape I've ever been in the entire world. Do you know when I started running after I had my first baby? 1 year. I didn't start running till 1 year after. I mean, I would kind of try to think that I might go out to do something and maybe go for a walk, but I was like, I'm tired. Yeah. I don't want to run. I'm feeding this child. I have to go clean bottles. I have to go clean clothes or whatever. There's 100 things. I got to run to another doctor appointment or go buy them more things. I didn't have time, and I didn't want to, and that was my choice. And I know a lot of people start running 6 weeks postpartum. I know people run 6 months postpartum. I waited almost a whole year. I was 10 or 11 months before I started running on a regular schedule again. That's just what I chose to do. So if that hits you too, where you're like, I can do this, and you hit postpartum and you're like, no, I can't. And I have, and it's not no, I can't. It's no, I can't right now.
Right.
I'm just not going to do it right now. My focus and my priority is on my child. I will come back to this and it will be there for me because there's a postpartum policy. So
I like it.
I love that.
I do.
I love that the Trail Sisters are doing that.
Mm-hmm. Life happens.
Does happen. And priorities change. Things happen, whether it's kids or injuries or
he has a very
jobs
nice
or moving.
Yeah, he has a very nice deferral policy. I feel like it's a very fair deferral policy. So, I mean, I reached out to him, just said, hey, this is what happened. Because, like there's some who might be like, really, you're deferring already? And I'm like, how many weeks are we out from mines? I don't even know. But
10?
Yeah, I have 2 more weeks still before I can run. You telling me I'm going to get trained up for that for 100K in that amount of time? No, that's going to be a whole nother injury, if not a re-injury. So,
I mean, I want to tell you that, some of your training will carry with you, but realistically too, you've also, you need a minute. Mm-hmm. We got August 1st already. That's wild.
This summer has gone by. It's so depressing. I'm like, wow.
Oh, it was 12 weeks last weekend, but for some reason my brain has already been like, it's only like 10 weeks left. No, we're about 11 and a half weeks out from Mines of Spain. Mm-hmm. Actually, today's Thursday. So we're 11 weeks out tomorrow. There we go. Trail math is hard, you guys. I had to think about it.
Yeah. Well, I just remember looking at the calendar going, nope, there is no way I'm going to get trained safely and properly. And I don't want the pressure of trying
to do the build correctly and to not injure yourself again and to come back slowly, which would be something then you could hold it for the longevity of.
No. Yep. I'm just focusing on my training for next year. So I got enough.
It's great.
So
I know. I know. I'm like,
let's go do 100 miles. I'm like, let's go do 100 miles and then a whole marathon after that. I'm like, that's going to suck. It sounded like a great idea when I hit registration. All right. Yeah, it always does. But all right. So I want to know, how did participating in the mine, did participating in Mines of Spain influence you to become a running coach?
Yes.
You're like, oh.
Well, I had to think about it. It's like, well, where did that idea stem from? And I've, pre-kids, I actually was a personal trainer as well.
Oh.
And I went to college for exercise science. I've always been interested in the sports world. I've dabbled in a few things. It was like, oh, I'm going to be an athletic trainer. And I was like, no, thanks. That's not for me. Injuries sometimes, well, when you do the athletic training, right, the injuries of things kind of got me a little squeamish. So I was like, okay, that's not for me. And it was like, I like the businessy side of things. And one of the things that I've always loved is teaching. Like I love to talk, obviously. Mm-hmm. For anybody who doesn't know me, I'm a talker. And I just love sharing my passion with other people, and especially something like Mines. Like Mines is my home course. I love sharing what I know with people who want to come share it with me, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where, gosh, I don't know. It was a couple of years into Mines. I don't know if it was like year 3 when I won it the second time that people were like, you should really coach. I know where it came from. I was running with my best friend, Hallie, and it was going into year 3, and I basically trained her. Like we would run together all the time, and just the little tips and tricks, like as you're running, right? It's like, don't forget to do this. And when we're here, we should be thinking about this. And it was so funny because we ran a lot of that race together. And somewhere at mile 55, I started breaking down, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, there's so many people. We were in 8th and 9th place. At mile 58, we were in 8th and 9th place. And I was like, I can't believe that we're running so well and we're in 8th and 9th place. I had a full-on breakdown. And she reiterated back to me all the things I had taught her for the months that we had trained together, where she's like, the race hasn't even started. We're executing our plan. We need to just run our race, right? All these things. We need to run our race. The race hasn't even started. The race starts at mile 80, the race starts at mile 60, if not mile 80, mm-hmm. which it often does. Mm-hmm. It doesn't start till later. And she's like, we just need to focus on ourselves and just keep going. And sure enough, I didn't pass second place until mile 95. And I passed first place with a mile to go. Like we were running on the road section, the very last mile. And I was like, here we go. And I passed her and I just didn't look back. I like started sprinting. We were going like 10-30 pace. We were sprinting as fast as I could to get away from this girl. And we got to the finish line and she was like, she had nothing left. So she was just holding on for dear life. And I just had just enough juice left that, yeah, that was an amazing year 2, year 3.
What a race.
But yeah, I think it was a race. And it was shortly after that I started talking to her. And of course, somebody else brought it up to me because it always takes me more than one person to be like, you should do this. Like, so I started thinking about it and I didn't really know where to turn as far as coaching certifications and, kind of brushed it off for a while, kind of played with the idea. And then I finally saw that there was an actual specific ultra running certification rather than just a road running certification. And that's when I actually did the program and started getting into it. I just picked up one client to start just to make sure. My biggest thing was I didn't want to fail anybody. I didn't want to get into coaching and be like, well, it's not really for me, or I wanted to make sure that I gave what I could to that athlete and to watch them succeed. And it went from 1 to 3 to 6 to I continued to grow. And I love that. I love that people believe in what I have to say. I always tell my clients too, it's like, take everything that you can from me. And, there does come a point where you're like, I've learned what I can learn from you, and you start to plateau out, and then it's time to go find something else to do. And that's fine. It's like, take a little from here and a little from there and take the parts that you like the best and form that into what's best for you. I can only tell you what I know, and I don't know everything. I know I don't. So you just keep learning. I keep learning, they keep learning, and we just keep moving on from there. And I feel like I've really grown over the last 6 months here, and I'm able to provide a lot more for my clients. I love it. I love coaching. And I can't wait to see what's next, to be honest.
Yeah. So what is your coaching philosophy? Like, what is your style? I think we kind of dove into this a little bit earlier when you were talking about, the mental thing, you said you coach the athlete, it's all about kind of bringing them up, but like, how much do you feel like you have to get in their head, and how much is it just the kind of, how do I word this? The core of it. Like, we build their plans. We tell them what to do. Like, I want you to go out and do this. I want you to do that. Do you feel like you have to do a lot of plan building, like this is your thing? Or do you feel that a lot of it has more accountability? Like, what do you feel you have to do, or what you're doing, I guess?
My philosophy for coaching, I'm glad that you described it a little bit more. I'm all about the accountability. Like we've talked about a couple of times, this is not a solo sport. You can make it a solo sport. If that's the way that you want to make it, dive right in. Maybe I'm not the coach for you, and that's cool. But my philosophy where I stand is it's very much a team effort. And I do group chats with my clients where we all kind of hang out together, and I kind of lead the conversation. But a lot of times people are contributing to that conversation because I don't know everything, and you have different experiences than I do. And I have clients that have done 100 milers. I have clients that haven't done 100 milers. So we all kind of contribute together to continue to build on the knowledge that we have. And that's where that accountability piece comes in, where yeah, I am setting workout plans, and that's the minimum that you should expect from a coach is a workout plan, right? From there, it's, you check in with people, and it's like, how was that workout that you didn't want to do? How are things going this week? Don't forget to get your long run done, even though you have to do it solo. I know that sucks, but like, I'm here. Here's some tips to get through that, and that accountability is really the core of coaching. I like building that community.
What do you feel like is your biggest challenges being a coach?
I think that all comes to just a personal space where I want to make sure I'm serving them the best that I can. So the biggest challenge is, how do I do that? Right? Each person is different. There is no one size fits all. So when somebody new comes to me, it does take a little bit of time to figure out what do they like? How can I get through to them? Like, and I mean that very gently, like get through to them. Like, how can I connect with them?
No, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Like what kind of hat do I
want to get through to them.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, it's like what kind of coaching hat do I need to wear with them? Like,
yeah.
How do they
baby or bully?
Yeah. Like, how do they receive
what workouts
best?
do they like?
Yeah. Yeah. I always have to make notes on people.
What is it that's going to light their fire?
Communication is so key on both parties to get to know each other and figure it out. I really like the Marco Polo with I'm like, with some of the athletes, because then I feel like I can get to know them better and be like, okay, but when we're just doing texting, I'm like, oh, this is hard. You know what I mean? So yeah. Also, I feel like I can kind of lecture.
I definitely love a good long run check-in. I appreciate my athletes. And it seems to be most, if not all of them, that are like, hey, I did my long run. Here's how it went. Because that long run, it's like the worst and the best, because you get all the thoughts. Like you can think through everything. And then, it's both, right? As much as you think through everything, you also get that time to like not think, because you're busy running. I don't have time to think because I'm running. I have to make sure I'm not rolling my ankle. Like I have to make sure I'm eating. How long has it been? Holy cow, we've already gone 10 miles. Like, so there's, as much as there's not thinking, there is still plenty of time to think. So I do love a long run check-in from my athletes to see how their week has been and what's going on. And
okay, so if somebody wanted to sign up with you, how does that go? Like I know how I'm sending my athletes their plans. How does it all work with if they're interested? How do they get with you? One, you have like a Facebook page, Instagram page, right? Too, and then like how do they communicate with you? How do you send them their runs? What's all the details on that?
Jeez. I currently have a Facebook page. That's my place right now that like, if you want to just silently stalk, that would be the place to like see what kind of community are we creating? What are we talking about? What's going on? I love that space. I love the people that participate in it. And sometimes I get a lot of participation or not a lot, but I know people are watching it, and I love that space for that. If you're interested in learning more, there's a website that you can click on there that describes a couple of the different services that I offer. So I am one-on-one coaching, which would be those customized plans. You get in on the group chats. We have different challenges that we do in certain months. And that is personalized to you. It fits your life and what you need and the race that you're working towards. I just created a new course. It is a 4-part course. Would be great to sign up more sooner than later to get ready for Minds. And it just kind of goes over some of the basics of what you would need to run a 100-mile race. There is no plan with it, but it would be talking about gear and aid stations and goal setting, which are all very important and a little bit of training. The first session does go over some things that you would want to incorporate into your training as you build your own plan. The third thing that I'm offering right now too is a Minds consult. So if you are running the Minds of Spain 100 and you want more information and you have questions and you want to better set some goals and get ready for the Minds, I'm happy to answer any questions. Like Jen and I have discussed, I am from Dubuque. I do run the Minds all the time. This will be my 7th year running the Minds of Spain 100. I feel very equipped to answer questions. And if I don't have the answer, I absolutely know where to get those answers.
Nice. Yeah.
So I can help out with that too. So that's just a 1 hour, just answering questions and getting that information to you. So all of that information is on my Facebook page, facebook.com/evenbettercoach.
Okay.
That's where I'm at right now. Like you said, it's Even Better Coaching Ultra Runners is where I'm at. You can find me on Instagram at Even Better Jen. I haven't been as active on my Instagram, but you certainly can message me there too. Or you can just send me an email at evenbetterjen@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, great. All right. I like it. So yeah, they better get on the ball. Yeah. No, yeah.
Time to get ready. You've got 11 weeks. 11 weeks to Minds. I can't wait. There is also a trail preview coming up. I don't have that right in front of me, but that trail preview is always a fun time. Everybody shows up.
They can find that on the Facebook page for Minds.
There's tons of people to run it too. So there's people to run it with. Like, you won't be left on your own. It's September 21st, and I wouldn't be surprised it's probably at 8 in the morning, because that's what time the race starts too. So you really get a preview of that loop 1. Okay. That's on Facebook too. You can find it on Facebook.
Okay. Well, and people might find this podcast, say, months and months later, because that's what happens sometimes. Yeah. And then they can get with you to prepare for next year's Mind Spain too. So there's also that.
And any race.
Yeah.
I am working with any race. I mean, I'm one-on-one coaching for just about any race. Yes, I do get a lot of people that are working towards Minds, but I also get runners that are working towards Kettle, or I've paced at a lot of other races too. So I do have experiences at a lot of other 100-milers, or if you're just doing your first ultra, oh my gosh, Shoots a 9 is such a great time. There's
people who really want to get that paddle, and I feel like that's another one. That Shoots a 9's a big deal. So I know it's a small loop, but there is, I feel like
there's some strategy.
Yes, there's some strategy to that, and some people will tell you, and some will not. So I don't know. I think that would be another one. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you're getting ready for your first ultra, I really enjoy working with people who are just jumping into the ultra scene. I'm obviously working with people who have been in the ultra scene before as well, and just want to. Not necessarily, they're not out here to win. That's not the point of coaching. It's just about being the best version of yourself and having fun and being part of a community. So if that's something that you're looking for, reach out to me. I'm happy to have conversations. You don't have to pay me to have a conversation. Trust me. Like, we can just hang out and chat ultras and see what's happening.
All right. I like it. Well, do you have anything else you want to share about yourself, your coaching, Minds?
I feel like we went over everything that is Minds. I'm super pumped. Like I said, it's a family out there, and every year we gather more people into our family. It's a family reunion every year we go out there. 100-milers are, it's living a full life in 24 hours. It's something that you can't really describe until you've been there. You know what I mean? So if you are ultra curious, I've heard that word before. If you're ultra curious, come on out, volunteer. You can volunteer at the start finish line. You can pick an aid station to come hang out with if you know somebody who's going to be out there. If you have the opportunity, pace somebody. I know sometimes you can show up to the start finish line and just say, hey, I'm here. If anybody lost a pacer or decided they want a pacer last minute, you can jump in with somebody last minute, and they might be a total stranger. Sometimes that's a lot of fun though, because you don't know them. So you have a lot to discuss. If you could run 10 miles, you could do 20 miles to pace somebody, right? So if you even just have a curiosity about the trail, go give it a shot.
Yeah, that's good. That's great advice. We forgot one thing. What's the cutoff for that? Is it 34 hours?
33.
33. All right. That's a good cutoff.
33 for the 100. I believe it's 24 for the 100K. It's very generous for the 100K as well. But that's great. I mean, that's just, like I said, it just means more people are finishing. There's no belt buckle for the 100K, which I also like. There is a belt buckle for the 100-mile. There's a sub 24 belt buckle as well. I do have one of those.
Nice.
That was a year. That was a year.
Sean Brandon was saying he was, what was it? The buckle snob? And I'm like, I agree with the buckle snobs. Like, you should only get a buckle if you're doing 100, He's like, but I'll be the first to admit that I wear my 50-mile buckle. I'm like, it's okay.
I have a 50-mile buckle as well. It's the first buckle I ever got, and I still display it very proudly.
I display mine from Potawatomi, but I'm like,
mine's from Ice Age.
Nice. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, you earn it. So, but I can also see
you do earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody will ever take that away from you, whether it's a belt buckle or even just the experience of it. It's yours to keep forever.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think we should do more, and we'll have to do another one and just post out some questions for people. We can do just a coaching and talk about our coaching and or give, I don't know, coffee with coaches podcast or something. I don't even know if you drink coffee, but I'll drink enough for both of us if you don't.
Perfect.
So
Coach's Corner.
Yeah.
We'll figure out a fun title for it. Maybe we'll put that out to the audience right now. If anybody thinks of a good Coach's Corner coffee conversation.
Yeah.
topics or titles. We'd love to have a good title for the podcast. Yeah, it'd be fun to come on and chat some more about ultras and trails and running and all the things.
I love coaching. I can say that. And so I love talking about running because I think that just goes hand in hand with coaching. So yeah, we could totally do that.
Love it.
Until next time, I'm going to hit.
Thanks so much for having me. I loved it.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Till next time. Bye.
Thanks, Jen.